It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie Yo 225. Day in the neighborhood. My brothers and sisters. TGIF, man. Thank God it's Friday. And thank God that y'all came back once again to fuck with the bean. Hope y'all doing excellent out there today. Now, we finna take it back to a channel that I feel like it have been maybe a month or more since we last been here. It has definitely been a while. But we're gonna check his latest video out. And it's that Lazy Man. And y'all know who that Lazy Man is. Lazy Masquerade. Going back to Lazy Masquerade, y'all. In the title of the video, Disturbing Region Locked Mysteries with Chilling Evidence. Now, from the title, we can go on, be rest assured that we not gonna get no solved mystery with this shit. I'm thinking these all gonna be unsolved mysteries, and we gonna be left to try to figure out what we think what the hell happened. We can say that off the top. And the next thing I say is region locked. What do you mean by that? It's only locked to a certain part of the world or whatever? I don't know. But it's gonna be pretty interesting. I think we got two of them. But before we check these two region locked mysteries out, my brothers and sisters, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you might need. Get what you need. We back to the lazy once again, my people. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's fucking go. The lazy.
We've all heard of region-locked content when it comes to media products. TV shows, movies and games that are only accessible in certain countries. But what about region-locked mysteries? Unsettling events that occurred in far-off lands that rarely, if ever, get reported on in English. Those cases could be some of the most infamous in a country's history. But if their only sources are written in their native language, you'll likely never hear about them.
True.
That's where translation skills come in handy. Learning a language can open up a world of new information, perspectives, and possibilities that you'd otherwise not have access to. And
True.
that's why I'm happy to introduce today's sponsor, Babbel.
Man, Lazy just got me, y'all. I'm thinking he going into the video. This man did all that for his damn commercial. Hey, that takes some talent. I know I ain't the only one out there who thought that was the actual video. And that man was saying all that shit for his damn commercial. Wow, he got me. But let's get down to it and make sure you got whatever you may need.
Today's first incident took place in Japan, back in the year 2000. It was May the 4th. And while for the rest of the world, the only cause for celebration was International Star Wars Day, the Japanese were actually halfway through their longest national holiday, Golden Week. A time of celebration where workers and students alike get to enjoy a prolonged break. One young man who was planning to make the most of his time off was 17-year-old construction worker Taiki Fujii. That evening, he and his girlfriend had been enjoying the summer festivals held in their home city of Ushiku, Ibaraki Prefecture. It had been a long but fun-filled day, full of parades and music, and the young lovers had developed quite the thirst. At approximately 12:30 AM, the parched couple made their way to a nearby Maruya supermarket, where they planned to buy a drink at one of the outdoor vending machines. By that point, the streets were practically deserted. Or so it seemed. As the couple stood there, deciding which beverage to purchase, a group of 4 young males approached them from the other side of the road. Neither Taiki nor his girlfriend recognized any of them. Completely unprovoked, these 4 men suddenly became extremely aggressive, prompting the couple to flee into the adjacent parking lot. Unfortunately, the girlfriend was unable to outrun her pursuers, but Taiki wasn't about to leave her to fend for herself. He did his best to push away the 4 assailants, but that only served to enrage them further. They forced both Taiki and his girlfriend into the supermarket's dark emergency stairwell, out of eyeshot and earshot of any passers-by. Inside, one of the 4 men held the girlfriend in place, while the other 3 relentlessly beat Taiki to a pulp. His head was repeatedly slammed into the concrete walls and floor. Unable to fend off 3 opponents, all Taiki could do was curl up into a ball and shield his head as best he could. And all his girlfriend could do was watch on in horror and beg for the 4 men to stop. And yet, despite her pleas for mercy, the group continued to punch, kick, and stomp on Taiki for 30 minutes straight.
See, I gotta stop it right here, y'all, because this is just my first little thoughts with it. These dudes fucking knew them. Or these dudes may not have known the girlfriend, but these dudes, something going on, man. This ain't no random act. That's what I'm trying to say. It's a reason that these dudes doing this, other than they just walked up and decided to potentially, I don't even know if they're gonna kill him or not. You know what I'm saying? Especially you took him to the stairway, then you beat him in front of his girlfriend for over 30 minutes. It's something a little deeper with this.
Focusing all of their attacks on his head. Once their bloodlust had been quenched, they took a few thousand yen from Taiki's wallet before disappearing into the night, leaving their victim a bloody mess on the ground, and his girlfriend a quivering wreck.
They ain't even kill him.
Physically, she had been left unharmed, but the image of her boyfriend being so callously brutalized had been forever engraved in her mind. She immediately called 119, Japan's emergency number. By the time medics arrived, Taiki's face had swollen to twice its normal size.
Damn.
At the hospital, doctors learned that the young man's brain hadn't just been damaged in the attack. It had been misshapen.
Dang.
Taiki would never regain consciousness, and tragically, 9 days after the incident, he passed away from his injuries.
Okay, he did die. But now I got another thought in my head, y'all. The damn girlfriend could have been the one to set this shit up. I'm just saying, you gotta look at all the possibilities now. I just feel like it's something deeper with this case. But let's find out.
Figuring out a motive for the attack seemed near impossible. Taiki was a moral, law-abiding young man who wasn't involved in any nefarious activities and who didn't affiliate with rotten eggs. Nobody could think of a single person who held a grudge against him. It appeared as if the 4 men had simply decided to attack Taiki and his girlfriend on a whim. The couple hadn't provoked them in any way. They had never even met them before in their lives. And yet, they had decided to intentionally take Taiki's life that night. The girlfriend described the attackers as best she could, and in turn, the investigators created these 4 sketches depicting each of the killers. Buzz cut, long hair, glasses, and beard. She said they were all Yankees, the word that Japanese people use to describe young delinquents. She also recounted some of the things that the attackers said to one another during the incident. "There's a fire station nearby," said one of the men, "so an ambulance will come quickly." This suggested that at least one of them was familiar with the local area. During the beating, another had apparently asked Taiki, "Are you the leader of Ushiku?" Ushiku being the city that they were in. It's unknown whether this was said in jest, or if the group had mistaken Taiki for the leader of a rival gang of Yankees. Taiki's girlfriend also pored over some of the local high school yearbooks, and fortuitously was able to identify a student who strongly resembled the suspect, Glasses. Though, for whatever reason, the authorities never followed up on that lead. But we'll get to that later. Early into their investigation, detectives came upon this CCTV footage, captured from inside a 7-Eleven convenience store or Combini, just 2 kilometers away from the crime scene. The video shows the 4 suspects at approximately 10:30 PM, 2 hours before Taiki and his girlfriend were ambushed. The girl was able to positively identify all 4 men as her boyfriend's killers. A 5th male was also captured in the footage, hanging out with the 4 suspects. Though he wasn't directly involved in the slaying himself, he's considered a key witness. Sadly, he has never come forward with any information. Still, the discovery of this footage so early into the investigation massively increased the odds that the suspects would be identified. By releasing it to the public, law enforcement would undoubtedly receive a high volume of tips. After all, Ushiku was a small city with a population below 100,000 people. Somebody out there would surely recognize at least one of these suspects, and if they could apprehend just one, then the other 3 would surely follow soon after. And that would have almost certainly been the case, had law enforcement actually released this video to the public.
What? What? Say what? The police ain't released the damn footage of them in the store to the public? Now we gotta come over. Now I gotta move the theory to this, y'all. Maybe the damn police involved. I'm telling you, it's something about this case, man. It's something, it's some shit in the game. You ever heard of that term? It's some shit in the game. I know y'all smell it, man. Something ain't right with this shit. I don't know what it is, but something is not right.
You see, investigators strongly believed that the 4 suspects were below the age of 18, and as such, enjoyed special legal protections. The extremely strict, some might say foolish, Japanese juvenile laws at the time meant that both the security footage and even the sketches of the killers weren't allowed to be shown to the public. No wanted posters were put up around Dushaku with their faces on. No leaflets were disseminated. No news broadcasts were allowed to show these hand-drawn images. Because of their suspected age, the murderers were essentially allowed to remain invisible.
Bro, I'm not, trying to talk about Japan and then and shout out to anybody who from Japan, y'all, I'm not trying to dish y'all race or nothing. But I'm just saying that is the most stupid, I ain't gonna say most, that's hyperbole. But this is one of the most craziest shit I ever heard for a law. Just because a child is not 18 or older or whatever, because they underage, they face can't be seen on the news, they can't put out this footage, they can't put wanted posters around town, no nothing. I hope y'all done changed that shit, Japan. Imagine if that shit was like that in the United States, man. I can't even imagine that, because that shit just sounds stupid as hell, bro. I don't give a damn what age you is. If you a murderer or you suspected of murder or something, the damn public need to know. Let's go.
In the brutal nature of the case, many believed that the authorities would ignore this rule, something which they had done numerous times in the past, when it was in the public's best interest to do so. In this instance, however, they only went so far as to release the sketches on their official website, a page which obviously very few people visited. And as for the CCTV footage, that wasn't made available anywhere. In response, Taiki's mother made her own wanted posters, which featured the drawings of the 4 suspects, and began placing them in restaurant windows around Ushiku. The police took them all down, and warned her to stop meddling in their investigation. Infuriatingly, they subsequently removed the 4 sketches from their site's homepage as well. This didn't deter Taiki's mother, however, who refused to let her son's case be forgotten about. For years, she continued to hand out homemade flyers outside the very supermarket where Taiki's life had been stolen. Unfortunately, but unsurprisingly, the investigation came to a near standstill at this point. The police were unable, and some might say unwilling, to pursue any further leads or interview any potential suspects. In 2003, the law surrounding juvenile protection changed in Japan, making it possible for the police to release images of wanted youths involved in violent crimes, but only if they believed that they would re-offend. 2 years later, after a campaign held by Taiki's mother gained traction, the authorities finally released these 4 sketches to the public, 5 years after Taiki had been slain. This resulted in a number of tips, the most notable of which came from a woman who claimed to be the former girlfriend of one of the killers. Apparently, he had confessed everything to her. Unfortunately, none of these potential leads were followed up on.
Okay, I'm done now. I'm done with this shit. The damn police don't want to solve this. Long story short, short story long, y'all. The police don't give a damn about this case. Now, for what reason? I don't know. That's why I said I'm leaning towards that the police got something to do with it. Y'all finally released the damn pictures of the dudes, the boys, whoever. Y'all released the pictures of them. Then it's a lady who tell you that she is an ex of one of the dudes who did the shit, and y'all still don't want to try to look into it or follow up on it or do nothing. Man, this is a classic case of when the police don't give a damn.
More than a decade and a half after the incident had taken place, the authorities finally released the CCTV images of the 4 suspects in the Combini.
Finally!
I'll pass the mic over to my friend, Kyoto Robato, a fellow YouTuber who's covered this mystery in the past, and who has helped to advance the search for the perps.
In late 2016, the authorities released these still close-ups of the 4 suspects, taken from the Combini's security camera. They were released alongside age-progressed sketches of the perps depicting them in their mid-30s. Trouble is, the composites weren't particularly detailed, and the official images were grainy and lacking clarity. Even if someone actually knew who these young men were, it's conceivable that they wouldn't recognize them from these shots alone.
Yeah, I gotta say that too, man. Wherever this damn convenience store at, wherever, man, y'all need to get some fucking better cameras, man. This is fucking pitiful. This is almost not even, you might well not, it's too, man, come on, man. What this happened, like 2013, something like that, I think, y'all. Regardless, man, y'all could have better cameras than this, bro. This ain't 1993. The fuck?
In an effort to help reignite the hunt for these twisted individuals, I recently ran this image of the long-haired suspect through an AI software program. As you can see, this dramatically improved the image quality and made the killer's face a lot clearer overall. Hopefully this enhanced picture will find its way to the right person, someone who can actually put a name to the face.
Hopefully.
If you're interested, I have a channel of my own where I exclusively cover Japanese cases. There are plenty of region-locked mysteries from Japan that don't get reported on in English, and seeing how I speak Japanese, I am able to cover topics that you won't hear about on other channels. Come check it out via the links in Lazy's description box.
At long last, in mid-2017, the authorities released the entire video clip to the public. Though obviously, this was too little too late, and the reaction from netizens was more bitter than sweet. People began to speculate why it had taken the police 17 years to showcase such a vital piece of evidence which they had been sitting on since pretty much the beginning of the investigation. Had they just released it years prior, they would have had a decent shot at locating the perpetrators. Rumours began circulating online that the police had intentionally prevented the video from being released until the statute of limitations on the case ran its clock. In the minds of many, one of the young killers, likely Glasses, may have been the son of a high-ranking officer. That would explain why they never questioned the student from the yearbook that Taiki's girlfriend recognized, and why they seemed to be so resistant to publicizing any information about the suspects.
Come on now, y'all gotta give me credit now. Come on now. I said this shit. I said, man, the police probably gotta be involved somewhere. I said the police. Now I know I went from it might be the girlfriend. Then I said some other dumb shit. But I finally caught on, man. I said, bruh, the police, man, the police. One of the damn sons more than likely one of the damn killers is more than likely the son of the head of police or whatever. So that makes sense. Give me my props, man. I know I'm gonna give y'all props too, because I know y'all was thinking the same thing. But let's keep going.
The theory goes that when the statute of limitations law was revoked in 2010, the authorities bowed to mounting public pressure and released the footage and sketches, safe in the knowledge that so much time had passed, it wouldn't result in any arrests. It certainly wouldn't be the first time that the cops in Ushiku had covered up the actions of their own flesh and blood. After all, they had been caught pulling similar stunts just a couple of years prior to Taiki's slaying. Others have suggested that the 4 youths were part of a gang in the area, and that their boss had paid off the cops to cover their tracks. Others still prefer to apply Hanlon's razor. That is, never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity. Needless to say, the release of the security footage didn't result in any breakthroughs. To this day, all 4 of Taiki's slayers remain at large, and now likely have families of their own.
Yep.
With Golden Week fast approaching again, I wonder if around this time of year, the memory of their murder comes back to haunt them all, or if they still meet up from time to time and reminisce about the good old days. Thanks for your help on this one, Kyoto Roboto. Be sure to check his channel out through the links below. He's got some amazing videos, and I think you guys would really enjoy them.
Yeah, we might check his channel out one day too, y'all. I'm gonna look up the link and all that. We might go to his channel one day. And I don't know if y'all picked up on it, but if you ain't pick up on it, go back to when I don't know, I say his name. I don't know his name, but when the other dude was talking, he got the same cadence and same. He sounded like another Lazy Masquerade, just in a different voice tone. That was something crazy about it. But it's just far as this case, man. I'm sorry, I just think the police got something to do with this shit because of their unwillingness to actually try to pursue this case. And then it's good that they put out the CCTV footage at some point. It's also good that, you know, they put out the sketches and all that. But it's just the fact that it happened after all these years later, when the shit then basically became a cold case. Now you want to put out this footage? Man, Japan, y'all got to do better, man. Fuck, I hope in 2023 y'all better, because that shit ain't gonna work, man. I don't give a damn what age you is. If you did some shit and we got some evidence and we can show it to the public to help us hopefully get the people who possibly committed this crime identified, then we got to put it out. Let's go to the next one. I love Lazy. Love the way he do his shit, y'all. I just love it.
A big shout out to Moondog151 over on Reddit, whose write-up of this case was an invaluable resource. The year was 1994. Born and raised in Beijing, China, 19-year-old Zhu Ling was a bright spark with an equally bright future ahead of her. Described by her classmates as attractive, intelligent, and gifted, Zhu wasn't only talented in music and sports, but was also a smart cookie who was majoring in physical chemistry at Tsinghua University. In many respects, she was following in the footsteps of her scientifically gifted elder sister, who studied biology at the prestigious Peking University. Studied. Past tense. Unfortunately, tragedy had rocked the lives of the Ling family back in April 1989. When Zhu's sister disappeared during a hike with her classmates. Her remains were discovered 3 days later at the bottom of a cliff.
Damn.
She had accidentally fallen to her doom.
Damn.
And now, just 2 years later, disaster was about to strike the Lings again.
Triple damn.
In October 1994, Zhu Ling began suffering from blurred vision and even temporary blindness. Despite being thoroughly examined, doctors weren't able to determine the root cause of her eye problems. By November, the symptoms of whatever Zhu's ailment was worsened. She began suffering from extreme stomach cramps, which made it impossible for her to eat. By late December, her hair was falling out in large clumps. Doctors ran test after test on Zhu during her stint in the hospital, but they all came back clear. Unsure of how else to proceed, they treated her with antibiotics and traditional Chinese medicine. By January, Zhu had made a full recovery. Her pain had ceased, her hair was beginning to grow back, and she was able to resume her studies at university on February 20th when the new semester began. Her 2 months of hell were over, and she could finally get on with her life. Just 1 week after returning to uni, however, on February 27th, 1995, Xu's health once again took a sudden and unexpected turn for the worse. She developed extreme pain in her legs, calves and feet, and over the course of a month or so, that pain only became more and more severe, spreading all the way up to her waist. By the time she was admitted to hospital, the palms of her hands and soles of her feet were burning bright red. Her hair was once again falling out, and her reflexes were much slower. Still baffled, her physicians didn't bother running any more tests, and instead simply tried to treat her symptoms. This proved fruitless. Over the course of a week, her condition rapidly deteriorated. She started suffering from a loss of muscular eye control, and her face became partially paralyzed.
Damn.
Her speech...
See, on this one, man, I want to blame the doctors a little bit. And let me explain real quick, y'all. Because the first time she was having all these bad symptoms, and then the doctors, you know what I'm saying, they just treated them. Then it looked like she got better, and they let her go like, oh, you good now, you know what I'm saying? And they ain't actually... I feel like the first time she went with those symptoms and was fucked up, the doctor should have goddamn actually tried to really figure out what was wrong with her instead of just doing a little patchwork, just a little quicker fixer up, or just to make her think that she all good. And I ain't gonna say they knew, but they knew it was a possibility that these same symptoms was gonna come right back, and when they come back, they gonna be even worse. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like they should have really figured out what was going on with her that first time, and it probably would have prevented or at least helped the second time the shit came back. But let's go.
Became slurred. Soon, even something as simple as drinking water became a painful challenge. Eventually, she could no longer breathe on her own and had to be placed on a ventilator. Evidently, the doctor's medicines weren't working. In March of that year, Xu slipped into a coma, during which time her condition only got worse. Since the doctors clearly didn't know how to treat Xu, her classmates posted an SOS letter on a number of different internet usernet groups. Their posts detailed her symptoms. They received more than 1,500 responses from people in 18 different countries. Roughly 1/3 proposed that Xu was suffering from thallium poisoning. Known as the poisonous poison, thallium is a metallic element that's highly toxic to humans. It's colorless, odorless, tasteless, and readily absorbed through the skin. The symptoms are slow-acting, painful, and wide-ranging, and most notably include peripheral nerve damage and hair loss. Xu's classmates made her doctors in China aware of the possibility of thallium poisoning. The doctors ignored them completely, and continued to pump Xu full of antibiotics and antivirals. After all, Xu didn't have any contact with thallium during her studies, so that was likely not what she was suffering from. Convinced that the internet users were correct, Xu's family secretly obtained samples of her hair and sent them to a control center in Beijing for testing. Specialists got back to them with the results. As it turned out, the amount of thallium in Xu's body was 10,000 times greater than a normal person's. There was no way she could have ingested it accidentally.
Hell no, ain't no way you can ingest it accidentally. But now like I said, y'all earlier, I gotta be blaming the doctors now. Y'all had information that this possibly be what could be wrong with Xu, but y'all just ignored it. What be going? Like, I don't know, man. It's just so fucking crazy to me how these doctors or fucking police or whoever, man, can just ignore the signs of what's really going on and shit just to goddamn, I don't know, you see the signs, you just ignore it because the world corrupt. I guess that's what I need to say. That's why, just because the world corrupt and everybody ain't gonna do the right thing. That's all I can say for it.
After being shown the control center's report, Xu's doctors finally gave in. Experts from around the world were contacted, and they advised treating the sick young woman with Prussian blue, a solid ion exchange material which absorbs thallium. In the end, Zhu's doctors were able to save her life, but at a heavy cost. Zhu awoke from her coma in August 1995. Unfortunately, she wasn't the same person she had been before her long sleep. Her central and peripheral nervous systems were damaged beyond repair.
Damn.
She was rendered near blind, had lost the ability to speak, and was left with the IQ of a 6-year-old.
Damn.
In short, both her promising future and quality of life had been taken away from her. Zhu was released from hospital in November 1995, and to this day remains in the care of her parents. Her condition has never improved.
Damn.
It was later determined that Zhu had repeatedly been exposed to thallium over the course of about 4 months, and that in the last 2 weeks of exposure, the thallium had been placed inside her food, dramatically ramping up the severity of her symptoms. Given that foul play was strongly suspected, detectives began investigating who had poisoned Zhu, how they had gotten it into her system, and why they wanted to end her life in the first place. To begin with, they paid a visit to Zhu's dormitory at university, only to learn that at some point in late April or early May, several items had been stolen from her room. These included her bath soap, shampoo, lipstick, contact lens case, and drinking glasses. Investigators have speculated that her poisoner laced the contents of each of these items with thallium, and that Zhu inadvertently ingested the substance via bodily contact. The investigators learned that only 200 people in all of Beijing had access to thallium, and it didn't take them long to set their sights on one suspect in particular, Sun Wei, a classmate of Zhu's who just so happened to be one of her 3 dorm mates. Of all of the students with a close relationship with Zhu, Sun was the only one to have official access to thallium. In fact, she was one of just 8 people at the university who could get their hands on the stuff. Everything seemed to point towards her as the perpetrator. There was just one problem. There wasn't a motive. After interviewing Sun and all of Zhu's other classmates and dorm mates, it became clear that the 2 girls actually got along very well. Aside from the circumstantial fact that Sun had access to thallium, there wasn't any concrete evidence to link her to Zhu's poisoning. Some began to question whether Sun really was the person responsible for ruining Zhu's life, or whether she was simply being used as a scapegoat. After all,
You never know if it's her or she's the scapegoat. Man, this case right here, this shit right here got me this shit got me fucked up, man. No wonder it got me fucked up because Zhu, she survived, but she got to live the rest of her life like that, man. Oh. And then number 2 is just, why would somebody fucking do... Man, that go back to what I was saying. I was just saying, why would somebody do this? And then I'm still saying it, man. And at the end of the day, long story short story long, the world just fucked up, bro. Why would somebody fucking poison somebody with some shit like this, man? Oh, bro. I'm depressed as fuck right now with this with my people. Let's go.
despite the university claiming that the thallium supply was secure and accessible only by those with permission, other students have confirmed that pretty much anyone with enough determination could have entered the labs and stolen some. Due to a lack of evidence, Sun Wei was never charged in Zhu's case. Nor was anyone else for that matter. Mainly because nobody else was ever properly investigated. Just because Sun wasn't charged though, that doesn't clear her of suspicion. If anyone would have had the power to escape justice, it would have been Sun. Her grandfather was a high-ranking member of the Revolutionary Committee. Her cousin was the former deputy mayor of Beijing. She came from a powerful family. When Sun was re-questioned in 1997, the detectives working the case asked her why she had checked out a book on thallium shortly before Zhu fell sick. At that point, her parents showed up and terminated the interrogation. Sun Wei went on to change her legal name and legal date of birth. She married an American and moved to the United States.
Okay, alright. Case closed, case solved. I'm sorry. She the one who poisoned that lady, bro. She is the one who did gave her that thallium. Number one, you one out of 8 people in that place, wherever in that area that they live, who can actually access the shit. Number 2, your ass goddamn go to the United States, change your name, and try to just get rid of all your history and shit. And number 3, your ass goddamn went to the damn library a week before the lady died from the damn thallium. No, she ain't die. I'm tripping. Before, you know what I'm saying, whatever went down. Your ass was just studying on thallium. You know her. Y'all connected through school. It is you. I'm sorry, y'all. That's who I'm going with. Fuck that. I'm not changing my mind on this one. Lazy gonna have to convince me to change my mind, cause it's her. It got to be her who did that bullshit.
In 2005, some broke almost 10 years of silence on the subject. She took to the internet to say that the police had cleared her as a suspect. They hadn't, and that she didn't have a motive to harm Zhu anyway. She did. A former classmate later explained that despite appearances, Zhu and Sun were actually rivals. Shortly before the first round of poisoning, Zhu had defeated Sun in a student election. The latter was apparently very bitter about the result. In this former classmate's words, Sun was simply a terrible person altogether. Rude, entitled, and unconcerned with the problems of others.
Sound like a Karen.
In 2013, Zhu's case began to receive a lot of attention once again after a male student in China killed his classmate using poison. Recalling the incident that had occurred at Tsinghua University years prior, many internet users began looking up details about Zhu as well, only to discover that the government had blocked all mention of her name on social media platforms. Public outrage led to this ban being lifted, and all of a sudden, there was a renewed interest in Zhu's case. In September 2013, 17 years after Zhu had slipped into her coma, her parents received a mysterious letter in the post. The note alleged that Zhu hadn't been poisoned by one individual at all, but by a group of students who all held a grudge against her. Here's an abridged reading of that letter.
To Zhu Lin's parents. Recently, the community's been speculating about your daughter again. As a person who knows a little about it, I always felt that your daughter was the one at fault. If she hadn't disturbed other people's rest, she wouldn't have been poisoned and maimed collectively by her fellow dormitory members. The main thing in life is karma. One's own evil cause bears the evil fruit of today. Your daughter had been affecting the sleep of others for more than 2 years. The dormitory was in a state of semi-collapse and couldn't tolerate it any longer. If Zhu continued disturbing their slumber, they were at risk of having nervous breakdowns. There was a case here in Los Angeles. A man's neighbors were making so much noise that he couldn't sleep. They wouldn't listen to reason, so he killed them. The court found him not guilty. He didn't spend a day in jail.
Wow.
If your daughter's case was in the US, it's highly likely that her poisoners would have escaped justice too. With enough justification, they can get away with anything. Your daughter was wrong in the first place. Tsinghua University didn't act to correct her behavior. They were wrong in the second, and her poisoners in the third. All 3 parties were at fault. But if they really wanted to harm your daughter, they could have done so earlier. Because the first poisoning was ineffective, they increased the dosage the second time. The result was unexpected. This wasn't what they wanted. They just wanted to make your daughter sick so that she'd have to repeat the year. They just wanted to sleep. The people involved in handling the case back then all advocated downplaying the situation, not wanting to ruin the lives of the 3 poisoners because of your daughter's flaws. And besides, no one was killed. Now it's a few years later. Everyone's living peacefully. I suggest that you do your daughter a favor and let these 3 people live well. If the whole world knows that your daughter was a public nuisance in the dorms, would you and your wife not feel shame? The internet describes how excellent your daughter was, but honestly, I don't see it. A person who does what she wants, who speaks badly, who doesn't care about other people's feelings, who affects other people's sleep, has no business being called excellent. If your daughter had kept to her bedtime, respected her classmates, and had good relations with her dorm mates, would she be suffering such a miserable fate today? Your daughter failed so much as a human being that she's ended up in this situation. If there is an afterlife, you and your wife should first teach your daughter how to behave, how to respect people, how to get along with people, treat people generously, do public service, and become a person who can contribute to the nation. That is true excellence. Monterey Park, Los Angeles, USA, May 31st, 2013.
Xu's family immediately notified the authorities about the letter and gave it to them for analysis.
Man, brother, somebody please tell me that letter was fake. Because, man, it probably is real though, man. But did y'all hear the fucking arrogance, the not giving a fuck about what I did, talking about the damn girl like you just don't care what happened to her, and whoever, god damn, man, the world is fucked up. That's all I can keep saying with this video, man. The cold-heartedness, the bravado, or just fuck her. Even though you done fucked her up for life, you still just got so much hatred and just so much. That letter was crazy as fuck for somebody to write. Even if it was fake, it would make a good movie.
They were able to establish that it had indeed been mailed from the US, though strangely, it had been written on a piece of A4 paper, an uncommon size in the States. The fact that the letter had come from the US once again placed the eye of suspicion firmly on Sun.
Yep.
That being said, the phrasing suggested that the writer wasn't actively involved in Xu's poisoning, only that they were aware of the 3 people who were. It also seems ridiculous that Sun, the only real suspect in the case, would potentially incriminate herself further by sending it.
True.
Wouldn't she want to keep a low profile? In theory, it's possible that the real poisoner may have also fled to the US and sent the letter to keep the attention on Sun. Or perhaps the note truly was written by an honest third party, and Xu really was poisoned by 3 of her sleep-deprived dorm mates. Or maybe this letter was nothing more than a hoax. Since we don't know who sent it, we can't say one way or the other. Today, Xu Ling is 50 years old. Her poisoner, or poisoners, remain unidentified. Her family went on to sue the hospital that treated her for their misdiagnosis and terrible treatment methods. They were awarded a compensation payment of 100,000 yuan, approximately $14,000. A huge thank you to my top tier members on YouTube and Patreon.
Man, this shit here is crazy. Both of these 2 stories, they got me feeling the same way, y'all, in a way. First of all, before we even started on it, we already knew that we weren't going to get answers. We weren't going to really find out who the fuck did these. But both of them got me feeling the same way, is because the involvement of an outside source, like, you know, it's something that somebody ain't telling you. You know what I'm saying? It's some in both of these cases that is some, and I ain't gonna even just say some, maybe a lot, but it's more than one person that know what the fuck really going on, but ain't nobody really telling nothing, man. In both of these cases. As far as Zulong, man, Zulong, I don't know how to say it. But as far as her, bro, and this is a question I posed to y'all, and I'll give y'all my answer real quick. She survived, right? She survived. Thank God she survived. We can say that. But she is not the same no more. And I'm not being funny when I say this, but she is mentally disabled, right? Forever. Barely can see. What you said, IQ of a 6-year-old. Like, she is dumb. I ain't even trying to be funny. I'm trying to be for real, y'all. Like, she can't fucking function as she used to be, bro. And I don't know, man. I'm just saying all that. Y'all get what I'm saying, bro. She basically is a kid who rode the short bus back when we was in school. I'm gonna say it now. And I ain't talking. I'm talking about the real ones who really was the mental disabled ones. That's what she is now. And to have lived the life she was living, then go to that, did just me. I'd rather be dead. I'd rather be dead, bro. I'd rather be dead for 2 reasons. But one of the reasons really don't count because I really don't think that if something like that was to happen to you or me or whatever and how it happened to her, she can't even remember back to when she actually had her whole brain together. You know what I'm saying? I'm going off on a little tangent right now, but y'all just gotta follow me real quick, my brothers and sisters. She can't really even remember back when she was just a normal, regular human being, you know what I'm saying, and fully functional, brain intact, and all that. She can't remember all that, so it ain't hurt her like that. But if, in hindsight or whatever, if I can just look at it from my standpoint, before I can become slow and dumb like that, bro, and can't live my life how I used to live, and I always gotta be, you know, I'm not being funny, man. Y'all know what I'm saying now. I'd rather be dead. I'd rather be dead. I'd rather be dead. And another reason I say that too is, you seen she was back living with her mama and daddy. They was a lot older than her. She 59. Hopefully her mama and daddy still alive. But now you gotta be a detriment to your mama and daddy for the rest of your life. And don't nobody want that. I know I don't want nothing to happen to me where I become crippled and can't, you know, function and take care of myself no more, where I gotta lean on my mama. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's another thing. Or my mama or whoever. I don't want to have to lean on nobody else. I want to take care of my damn self. That's what I'm saying, bro. It's like, she's still alive, and maybe y'all can look at it like it's all good and all that, but for me, I really can't look at it like that, because she ain't dead, but in the way she is dead. Because who she used to be is dead. And now who she is not somebody who can really, she can function in this life, but she can't function without the help of anybody else, and it's just fucked up, man. God damn, I just went on a tangent with that one, y'all. I'm sorry, my brothers and sisters. I was just trying to get that out real quick, and it probably took longer than it should have. As far as the first case, man, it's sad that them dudes, see that what I'm saying? Because we came up, we knew they were going to be unsolved mysteries, and we'll never know who them dudes is who did that shit. The damn police, they ain't give a fuck, and it just, that one there just had me mad, disgusted, all that shit. Fuck that shit. I'm glad y'all came back, my brothers and sisters, man. Y'all know I love y'all fucking death, man. Love watching these fucking videos with y'all, love talking this shit. And we're going to have to get into another one tomorrow. And y'all know Miss Baller coming up on Sunday, of course. You know, Let Me Talk to You coming out this weekend. I'm still working on other shit. Y'all know, man, hey, I might miss a couple days off that bitch, but if I miss a couple days, that just mean I'm working on something else to bring to y'all. And I digress again, my brothers and sisters. I see y'all again tomorrow. You know I got to say this. Hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and all that. And then I got to say this. Love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.